Welcome to Franklin Upfront. I am your host, Mr. Franklin. A very special welcome to all of you who are joining me here on this podcast. I hope you enjoy your stay here and that you find something of meaning and value in my message. This week's topic: the importance of sleep. And I'd like to give a special welcome to all of you joining me here on this live podcast. Very special welcome to all of my audience on in YouTube and on Podbean. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I apologize for the late start, but I had to get set up and take care of some technical issues. But we're here. That's what matters. And we take a break right here. Hold on one moment. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I apologize for the interruption. Having some technical issues. I do apologize, but it's now been resolved. So, as I was saying before, this week's topic, the importance of sleep. And I'd like to welcome all of you in the live chat, welcome all of you on YouTube and on Podbean. So, in the first segment, we'll go on for a moment. Then, when we return from the first break, we'll be taking your calls here on this program. So, sleep is vitally important. We can't function properly without sleep. As I was saying on last week's show, we can't function properly without proper nutrition. And I said that proper nutrition comes in the form of realizing that there is some benefit in animal products as well. There's protein. Everybody doesn't have the body chemistry to digest beans or plant-based type foods only. Some people, they need to eat meat. And that proper nutrition doesn't necessarily have to come from being a vegan or a vegetarian. So you need food to go out in the world feeling good, feeling energetic, feeling confident. The same is also true with sleep. You need sleep to create more or less the same effect. Going out in the world feeling good, happy, healthy, confident. If you don't get a good night's sleep, the first thing you'll notice is that the very next day you're feeling groggy. You're in a bad mood. You're moody, you're cranky. And then, sure enough, you get behind the wheel. That's bad. You could have an automobile collision. If you're distracted, if you're groggy, if you're in a bad mood, you don't drive the same, you don't cook the same, you don't clean the same when you're tired. Sleep is so vitally important, yet so widely neglected. People would prioritize everything else, and when an emergency arises, the first thing that goes is sleep. Oh, I could sleep later. Let me do this now. Let me do that now. Let me do everything else now. I could always sleep later. Come on. Some even say I'll sleep when I'm dead. You will be pretty damn soon if you don't get some sleep, eat some food. Now, let me explain something to you. There's a difference between rest and relaxation. Did you know that it's possible for you to fall asleep without relaxing, without resting? It's possible to sleep without resting. It's possible to have restless sleep. Very possible. And that's not good either. It keeps you surviving but not thriving. That's the difference between restless sleep and restful sleep. People don't know how to sleep properly. The ideal sleep time is maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I'm up until 1:32 in the morning. It's not good. You get your full, restful, restorative sleep if you fall asleep before midnight because your life force is synchronized to the universe. So whatever midnight is the reset time. That's why they call it the middle of the night. It's not because it's morning. Some people talk about, oh, it's midnight, it's 12:01, good morning. No, 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 it's not because it's morning, it's night. And even the name suggests it is the middle of the night, midnight. But the reason why it is important, because even though morning starts at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, midnight is the reset time period. So between midnight and 6 a.m. is when you're resetting. So if you're not if you're not actually asleep by midnight, if you're not already asleep going into REM phase at midnight, you're going to miss the reset. And whatever time you do fall asleep will not only allow you to sleep long enough for well enough to survive, but it will not restore you. So midnight is very important when it comes to getting a good night's sleep. Never neglect the midnight rule. Always get a good night's sleep. And by falling asleep before midnight and getting 7.5 hours. Now, as I was saying before, you ever heard of some people say, I'm gonna get some R&R, I'm going off on 1 week vacation? Yes. R&R doesn't stand for Red Ribbon Army, no. I mean, yes, it does, but it also stands for rest and relaxation. They both start with R in English, at least. Rest and relaxation. Do you know the difference between rest and relaxation? Because to rest is to sleep, to rest is to sleep, and to relax is to rest while you're awake. Resting while you're awake is called relaxation. And several forms of relaxation is watching primetime television while getting ready for bed or while dinner is getting ready. Um, Being out on your patio in a hammock, barbecue grilling. There's some work involved, but grill masters often alternate between working and drinking beer and resting in the hammock or the whatever it is, patio lounge there, right? Um, so resting is primarily sleeping. You could also rest while being fully awake, but that's more the relaxation phase of rest. Both are important, by the way. Both rest and relaxation are important. It is not enough to rest, it's also good to relax too, but not every day. You're not going to relax every day. You have to have won some victory for yourself and those who rely upon you before you can comfortably relax. Otherwise, you'll go jaded, you know that something is amiss. Because even though we're here preaching um, self care and relaxation and all those things, I must also recognize the importance of work. If all you do is relax, there's no balance. You're not going to muster up in sleep pressure to fall asleep because there is no work. Work builds the sleep pressure that causes you to to sleep, to fall asleep, or to have the desire to go to bed. So if you love to sleep, you must also love to work because there's no proper sleep without work. Even if you lie in bed at 11:30 before midnight, you'll be lying there all night with insomnia because there's no sleep pressure. So if you love to sleep, you must also love to work. Both go hand in hand. I'm not saying work is bad. Only exploitative work is bad, but work is not inherently bad by itself. Of course you should work. We all believe in work. Too much relaxation is not good either. Too much work is not good. Too much relaxation is not good. All I'm simply saying is that there has to be work-life balance. There has to be balance. Well, how does one create balance in this busy, fast-paced modern world? We have all the amenities of the creature comforts we never had before. No one throughout all of history had it before. We are the only ones, are the first ones who have it. Can't even enjoy it. There's too much work. Modern life is not easy. There's too much work. Not enough rest time. Everybody chasing a buck. What can we do to produce or create effective work-life balance? What what in fact can we do to produce effective work-life balance? We take a break right here. When we come back, we'll be getting further into the meat of the matter. And I hope you'll join me then. Keep it locked and frank and upfront. Welcome back to Frank and Upfront. This week's topic, the importance of sleep. Now, in the previous segment, I was talking about how can one effectively create work-life balance in a fast-paced, modern, what some might even consider postmodern society. My recommendation, there has to be firm boundaries. Everybody will be playing tug of war with both your arms, pulling you in both directions. You know, human nature is inherently selfish. No regard to what you want, everybody want what they want. And when you consider the inherent selfishness of human nature, you must also consider that it's very necessary to establish firm boundaries when dealing with people. Very, very firm boundaries. So if you know that you are feeling a bit tired, if you know you're not feeling well, learn to say no. Learn to say no if you're not feeling well. And the different forms of not feeling well. Just because you're not feeling well doesn't necessarily mean you're ill. Sometimes it could mean that you're just exhausted, which is the first warning sign that you need to prevent illness from happening. Because if you keep going upwards on a downward escalator, you're going to crash. Gonna crash. So if you ignore the first red flags, you might be thinking, oh, I'm just a little bit tired, I'm not really sick. If you keep going, you're going to get sick. So your body's trying to warn you. Your body is trying to warn you. Take a break. It's okay. Call out if you have to. Take a day off if you have to. You know what I noticed? Worker bees, the people in society who are considered worker bees, the frontline workers, when they're sick, they may not necessarily have the luxury of taking a day off or take the rest of the evening off or whatever it is. When the upper management on their jobs, on those same jobs are sick, you don't see them. You don't see them. Them gone about their business, them gone out them yard. They they pass on the responsibility to their deputy. And them gone for them yard and you don't see them. You only see the frontline workers them barely battering. You're supposed to have enough staff coverage that if somebody gets sick, someone else can pitch in. You're supposed to have enough staff coverage that if someone's running late, someone else pitches in. Now, of course, there are different kinds of companies, different kinds of organizations. Whatever the nature of your business is, I don't know. But whatever it is, there could be an emergency. People have kids. What if their kids are sick? If my kid is sick, if I'm sick, I'm going to show up. If my kid is sick, I'm dropping everything to be there for my kid. I don't play when it comes to my kids. I don't have kids, by the way, but hypothetically, if I did, and in fact, if I should in the future, when I do, I wouldn't play when it comes to mines. Fuck that. I'm out of there. Right? So people have emergencies. What if everything is perfect and you're on the way to work and you have an automobile collision? You're changing lane and someone you're changing into the center lane from the left lane and someone else swings into the center lane from the right lane and cause a collision. It's not your fault. Right? People run late all the time. People have car trouble. People have all kind of problems. So it's supposed to have enough staff coverage in the event of any emergency, whether it's a collision or injury or illness or death. Funny how when you die, they find your replacement on the job before your funeral date has been set. So if HR can quickly hire your replacement before they set your funeral date, then they can also find staff coverage in the event that you're having any kind of emergency, whether illness or otherwise, or even just exhaustion, or if you need a couple of days off, if you need vacation, if you need bereavement, leave of absence from work, family leave of absence. You know, we have this thing called FMLA, Family Medical Leave of Absence, where you could file for FMLA to care for a sick relative. People have to battle enormous amounts of personal tragedy. A sick spouse, a sick relative, a sick parent, a sick child. And even while they're battling all those things, they got to keep their jobs and make sure that they themselves don't get sick in the process. And these narcissistic jobs have the audacity to write their labor rules as such that they acting like they almost don't want to give you your sick days. You gotta call out for a sick day, then they want to write you up for that too. And they wonder why people are stressed. They wonder why so many young people are dying. People are dying young in their 40s, 50s, even in their 20s. You wonder why? No 20, 25, 30-year old should be thinking about dying. What's wrong with this world, man? What's wrong with humanity? What happened to cooperation? Pat yourself on the back. Everything nowadays is about these macro level corporations. There ain't no mom and pop's business no more. Of course, the mom and pops want to make a profit, but you can tell they still care. They watch you grow up. So they're like a mom and pops. They're small businesses. They watch you grow up. So even though they want to protect their profits so they could survive, they still help you out. But these corporations, though, damn, they're rude. They have no manners in how they talk to you. And then they want you to show up and give you all, and then they give you whatever they feel like. They want to overwork you, overstress you, and you don't even have the luxury of a sick day when you get sick. Because they want to bully you. But what do you fear the most? Not dropping the ball on your responsibility in the event that an emergency should arise around you in your personal life, or you fear getting a write up. What do you fear? Oh, by the way, don't fear getting a write up. It's not a big deal. When your boss gets sick, you don't see him. He passed on the responsibilities to his deputy, and he goes home. So he's probably too embarrassed to allow you to see him sick. So he passed on the responsibilities and he goes. So when you don't see him, but when you're sick, you have to worry about whether if it's bad enough to be worth risking a write up over. And if that is how they behave when you're sick, then If you have to think about whether you're sick enough to be worth risk for it to be worth you risking a write-up over, imagine simply being tired, simply feeling tired, not really sick yet, not yet. You simply feel tired. That's all. You feel tired. You want to take a couple of days off. You want to take maybe 3 days off this week. You have a 5 day work week, 2 off days. You want 3 days this week. You got to worry about whether it's worth it as well. Is it worth me taking 3 days off over, an extra couple of days off over? Now, with that said, you do have some mobile apps out there where staff members can pick their favorite schedule or even change the schedule with another colleague. But it requires the approval of a manager. What if your manager is a fucking dog? What if they're just a shitty human being and they want to give you a warm time on purpose for whatever reason? So, with all the illusion of flexibility, you're really not flexible at all. So, what do you do? All of these jobs are toxic. My current job is toxic. I want to leave. I want to get back to running my own show. Like I once did. So, what do you do? Once again, it goes back to boundaries. You have to learn to say no. When the boss gets sick, you don't see it. When you get sick, you still got to cover your post when in fact they're supposed to have enough staff coverage. They're supposed to have emergency staffers on standby. Just like even they understand that. Even with like baseball or football or whatever it is, they understand that in football they have the reserves and they have the fielders, whatever they call them. Fielders and reserves. One of your guy get injured out there, you put the reserve out there. They have that in the military too. You have reserves in the military. You have reserves in um, sports. So if sports understand that, if the military understands it, if the police understands that, if even your boss understands that, which is why he has a deputy and you don't, how come you don't have a deputy? How come? And even if you don't have a deputy, how come they don't give you guys reserves? So that if one of you guys get injured out there, they pull you off the field and they put one of the reserves out there. Because they don't want to pay you. Did you know that employee salaries are all a part of the budget? And that is counted separately from profit? Employee salaries, all of your combined salaries are counted as separate from profit. So their profit, how much the company actually makes after they pay all of their employees, including their CEO. Oh, oh, by the way, yes. So your salaries and your wages are considered to be expenses that they list on their budget. So every year they do inventory and how many people they're going to hire and how much they're going to pay you. So those are expenses. Your salary might be a profit to you, but an expense to them. So when they calculate all of their expenses, including your combined salaries, all of you who are there, and you compare that to the ratio of their profit versus their expenses, all of their combined expenses is probably 35%, 40% of their revenue. And of that 35 or 40%, staff wages combined is probably 15, 20%, half of their expenses, by estimate. Just leaving a disclaimer here, by estimate. So if there's another 60, 65% profit outside of all the expenses, they can afford to pay you some more. Or they can afford, yeah, they could afford to pay you well enough that you don't have to burn yourself out by doing overtime and doing all these extra things and side hustles and this and that. But it should be relaxing. You should be having work-life balance. And or they should hire extra staff, hire the reserve staff, that when you do get injured out there, they pull you off the field and put somebody else who's fresh to go and full of energy. Because when they get sick, you don't see them. Unless they want sympathy or they want to push propaganda, they otherwise they'll report someone's illness in the press. If you notice the way they covered up the illness of Queen Elizabeth last year during the Jubilee, covered up the illness, and then she died seemingly suddenly. No, it wasn't sudden. They knew she would die. It wasn't sudden. She was going downhill. She was getting more frail, more weaker. She started to experience this thing called skin mottling, where you see the veins in the skin, especially if you light skinned. You see the person veins literally in their skin as a sign of aging, as a sign of not aging, as a sign of impending doom. She was slowing down. She was walking with a kind of a bend with a cane. So they knew her time was short. She was slowing down. She was gradually getting more and more frail and elderly. She wasn't that strong as she once was. Even in her 80s, she was still strong. Even in the early 90s, she wasn't that strong. In the final year, she wasn't that strong. But you see how they kept it out the press, out the public eye as long as possible so that when she did die, it seemed like she died suddenly, but they knew. And come to find out now, a couple months after her funeral, an aide that was close to her reveals that she had, excuse me, had myeloma, a form of blood cancer, myeloma, that caused all of that. And that was the cause of her death. So, and if that could happen for the Queen, imagine private people who are just as fortunate but more private. They have the luxury of privacy that the Queen doesn't have. In some rare cases, they will share what's going on. If they want prayers, if they want sympathy, like when the Pope Emeritus died a few weeks ago, his successor, the current Pope, asked for prayers because Benedict is said to be very ill, gravely ill. So on a rare occasion, they will humble themselves enough to tell you what's going on. But for the most part, they're embarrassed that they're sick. They were supposed to appear untouchable in the public eye, powerful. So when they do get sick, they get embarrassed and they don't want you, their underling, to see them getting sick. They don't want you having that satisfaction of seeing them sick. So they will likely try and cover it up and hide it. And the next thing you hear to them dead. That's usually how it happens. Usually. They'll be secretly ill for months and then when they're dead, you hear to them dead. So on so pass on. But when you're sick, you don't have that luxury. You have you have to think about whether you can afford to get sick right now. Can you schedule your illness? I'm sick now, come back later. Can't you come back later? Well, that's why they call it an emergency. No, it can't come back later. It's an emergency. It's going to happen when it happens. You can't schedule illness. Your body going to break down when it breaks down. It's going to happen when it happens. And when it happens, hey, let me tell you something. It's better if they allow you time to heal and rest, whether or not you're sick, whether you're simply sick, whether you're tired, whether you're sick or just simply tired, whatever it is that's going on with you, it's best for their own sake and their own profit, to protect their profit. It's best that they allow you your sick time, allow you your rest time, allow you your recreational or vacation time. That would prevent an illness in the first place. Because God forbid you get sick and you collapse on the job. That's a lawsuit, wrongful death lawsuit, wrongful irreparable illness lawsuit, wrongful irreparable illness brought on by overwork. You ever heard of workers' comp? So, for their own sake, they better humble themselves and aid in work life balance. They had better. But just in case they don't, however, that's where your boundaries come in. Your boundaries have to be strong. They don't want you to do this and do that. No, go home. They want to go for happy hour. You know how many times they invite me for happy hour and I go home? Not because I'm particularly sick or tired, but just because I want to be in my own space. I don't want to be around them. And I go home. And don't get me wrong, I do go out sometimes. But if I'm not feeling up to it, I'm going home. I'm going home. You never know. There might be hidden dangers out there that the universe can foresee into your future. And just by you simply not feeling up to it, you could be saving your life. If you went, maybe you would have been suffered, received a stray bullet. Maybe you meet in an accident and you wouldn't make it. But because you stay home, you'll be spared. You're spared to live another day and to go out and fight another day. Live to fight another day. You know how wonderful it is to have a great night's sleep, wake up early enough in the morning, fix you a nice lunch, and just spend the rest of the afternoon doing something recreational or just relaxing in the privacy of your home. Beautiful feeling. Wonderful. Life is so busy, however, that we don't get those days very often. Those days are special because they are rare, but we should enjoy them more often than we do now. We have to schedule, same as how you schedule your job or your job is scheduled for you, and you schedule meetings, and you schedule your vacation, and you schedule recreational outings. You have to schedule your R&R time too. So, step one, boundaries, strong, impermeable boundaries. Step two, schedule your R&R, schedule your rest, and schedule your relaxation. Schedule your rest and schedule your relaxation. And we'll take a break right here. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls, and I hope you'll join me then. Keep it locked on Frank and Upfront. Welcome back to Frank and Upfront. This week's topic, the importance of sleep. In this segment, we'll be taking your calls and the rules for calling the show. Please try as best as possible to stick to the topic. Do not ramble on needlessly. Time is short. We only have 1 hour left on the show. And I'm trying to get as many calls in as possible. So 10, 15 minutes, I think is fair. Do not ramble on and on. Um, no derogatory comments, no racist comments, no sexist comments. No disparaging comments against any particular group. And if you persist in doing so, I will cut you off the program. But please, 10, 15 minutes for each caller. We have 1 hour left. So if you want to call the show, now's a good time. And while we wait for callers to call the program, in the previous segment, I listed 2 things that we can do to create effective work-life balance in the modern world. And I said, 1, having strong boundaries is one. And what are strong boundaries? Well, first of all, so 1, strong boundaries, and 2, I said, oh gosh, what did I say? Well, anyway, so what are strong boundaries? Making sure that people understand that there are consequences for crossing you. Making sure that people understand that there are consequences for crossing you. So, for example, if I tell you that I'm not going out to the happy hour tonight, and you kind of go around that and still talk as if I'm going to be there, then simply don't show up. And not only don't you show up, you make that person as uncomfortable as you possibly can, to the best of your abilities, for the rest of the time you spent working alongside them. Give them their own personal hell that's tailor-made just for them. Torture them. And I know that sounds very draconian, but they were draconian when they overstep your boundaries, so you must respond in kind. They fire the first shot and you are responding in kind. It is a war. So that's number 1. Impose consequences. Make sure that they know that you are not to be trifled with. Cost it what it will. There will always be another job. I don't take orders. I'm not an underling. It's a contract. I sign a contract to provide a service. I didn't go there to take orders. I went there to provide a service. And if you're not upholding your end of the bargain, then I will end my contract with you and find another contract. There will always be another job. You have Indeed, you have Glassdoor, you have Oh gosh, what is that one called? Quick hire, whatever it is. Quick hire, ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter. You have ZipRecruiter, man. You got ZipRecruiter, you got Glassdoor. So they're acting like they have the monopoly on every single job in America. No, motherfucker. I can get any job I want. There's thousands more jobs out there. I could even relocate. That might even be a relocation opportunity. You never know. So anyway, how do you make your boundaries firm? Make sure that they understand that there are consequences for crossing you. You are not to be trifled with. And you don't take orders, you sign contracts to provide services. And you will do so to the best of your abilities, but taking orders is not one of them. Make sure you understand that. Make sure they understand that. Ah, yes, number two. I remember now. Number two, schedule your R&R time. Schedule sleep. Schedule rest and schedule relaxation. Schedule your days off. How many personal responsibilities outside of work do you have on your day off? Some people gotta get groceries, some people gotta cook, some people gotta do laundry, some people have to clean. Well, let me give you an example as to how I remain organized enough that I don't have too many responsibilities on my day off. Groceries can be very difficult, so I put aside a certain day to buy 1 month supply of groceries, a whole month supply of groceries, and I do that on one day. And on that day, I don't cook. It's either I eat at the grocery store deli or something, but I don't cook. I also pay all my bills on that grocery day as well. So I bring home the groceries, I bring home the laundry. Yes, I do laundry too on that day. So with groceries out the way for the next month, you have 3 more weeks. You have the following day, I probably just relax and rest. And the next week I maybe go out. Seeing as how I don't have groceries, laundry, that's once a week. Do laundry once a week. People complain about laundry. It's not even really a big deal if you know what you're doing. You know, taking out the trash, cleaning, mopping the floor, cooking, eating, doing the dishes, and going to the laundry, doing laundry. That can be done in a half a day. So you have another half a day after that to rest, and then you have another day off after that day. So once again, relax. Cook, eat, and relax. And then no, the following week, the following 2 weeks after that, up until the next month again, same thing. Cook, eat, wash the dishes, take out the trash, mop, and do laundry. And that's a half a day. Then you have another day and a half. But sometimes I just take an extra day off and I have 3 days off. So then I have another 2 days and a half to rest and relax. And then I might go out on one of those days, day number 2 of my 3 day weekend. I might go out to a bar, a restaurant, or brunch, or whatever it is. I might go see one of my girlfriends. And then the next day, I have that day all to myself to just relax. One whole day to relax and do nothing. I might get some work done. I might edit my shows. I might schedule the release date of the shows. That's a piece of cake. Well, no, editing. No. Editing is a headache. Editing is a headache. If you notice, the format of my show has changed. It's more fast paced because I edit out the format. I mean, not formats. I edit out the pauses. I edit the pauses because I take long pauses. If you listen to my live show, there's lots of pauses and imperfections. But in the playback on the podcast episode, it's more fast paced. It's half the amount of time. You know that pauses take up twice the amount of time, and that when you edit the pauses out and all the imperfections, the finished product is only half of what it once was. So if you look at my most recent episode, the live stream on YouTube is 2 hours long, and the podcast episode based on that live stream is only 58 minutes long because I took several grueling hours to edit out the pauses and imperfections to make it half as long as it once was. So that is a pain in the ass, let me tell you. But it's worth it to make it shorter and more digestible. Yeah, it's worth it. So I do it for you guys. So that might take a few hours. But then once I have that finished product, breaking them up into segments, adding the commercials and forwarding, and then scheduling the release date, that part of it is what I meant when I said it's a piece of cake. That's what I meant. So that might take 5-6 hours. It's no big deal, you know. So I get that out of the way. And then I have the rest of my evening to do whatever it is. You know, relax, watch a movie or something, or a documentary. Maybe call somebody up and talk to them. And the next day, sure enough, the next day is the Monday of my work week. And what's also helpful is that my weekend doesn't coincide with the weekend. So my Friday would most likely be on a Sunday, and I'm off at the beginning of the week. So that's very helpful for me. So while everybody else is back at work, I have my days off to run errands and do whatever I have to do. And when everybody is partying on the weekend, I am going to work and I'm avoiding the party crowd. So when I party on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, middle of the week, it's half as crowded as it was at the end of the week, because my weekend is not the weekend. My weekend is at the beginning of the work week. So anyhow, I'm not saying copy me. Don't be a copycat. That's my original idea, to have any kind of sustainable life that I enjoy living. But you can take notes. You could tweak and do what works best for you. Based on the example of how I live my life. That is what has helped me. It may be able to help you too. You can take all of it or parts of it and tweak it. It's up to you. Freestyle, do you? But whatever you do, schedule some R&R. Schedule that, you know what, this is going to be my relaxation day. I'm not going to leave the house. I'm not going to go nowhere. I'm going to be on my back patio. I'm going to be on my grill. I'm going to be in my PJs all day. I'm going to snuggle up and watch a movie on the couch all day, especially a rainy day. Oh, by the way, rainy days, nighttime, rainy nights, call me gothic. I don't care. Whatever. I guess I'm happy. But I enjoy those days. Those are beautiful days to relax and recharge when you're feeling drained and tired. To make your favorite meal, your comfort meal, and relax, recharge. You know how pricelessly precious it is to relax on a rainy day to the sounds of Frederic Chopin. You know who Frederic Chopin was? A brilliant musical composer, brilliant pianist, the best of his time. And he made some of the most delicate, beautiful piano compositions you will ever hear. Frederic Chopin, Claude Debussy, Franz Liszt, Beethoven. Listen to some classical music. You know how pricelessly beautiful that is? Just not really thinking about anything, just simply listening and enjoying the rainfall, enjoying the full moon, enjoying the nighttime. It's precious, preciously beautiful. I hold those days and those nights near and dear to my heart. This time of year when it's raining now in the winter, beautiful. I thoroughly enjoy it. I put my phone on silent. I put my phone on airplane mode. I turn on the compositions of Frederic Chopin. So put on some Chopin on the phone. Mute the ringtone so that nobody call me when the music is playing. Excuse me. And I enjoy solitude. I enjoy alone time. I like being alone. Oh, by the way, did you know that there's a time and place for everything under the sun? Did you know that? There's a time and place to go out into the world. I see Derek Soul has entered the studio. Welcome, Derek. Welcome. Yes, as I was saying, there's a time and place to go out in the world, and you have places to go, people to meet, go greet the world. There's a time and place to be sociable. There's a time and place to be physically intimate with your love partner. And there's a time and place as well to be willfully celibate and also to enjoy solitude with oneself, to be alone with your thoughts or with no thought, to meditate with no thought, to just simply enjoy the sound of the raindrops on the zinc roof or the whatever it is, the sound of the piano works of Chopin or Debussy or whoever it is. without even thinking. Just clear your mind and meditate and focus on the music. Or even if you're watching a movie, focus on the movie. Without being in your head isn't always the best place to be. Sometimes you come up with some brilliant ideas. Brilliant ideas. But some other times as well, you're thinking about negative things and fighting with people and all that things that will steal your joy and steal your peace. Your head isn't necessarily always the most pleasant place to be sometimes. So if the music and the raindrops will help you get out your head and focus on something external, something pleasant, then yes, go for it. Absolutely. Now, there's a time and place for intimacy, a time and place also to be celibate, willfully celibate, intentionally celibate, and most importantly, temporarily, temporarily celibate. As long as you could hold out 2, 3 weeks to be by oneself to recharge your energies. Because when you're with somebody, you're sharing energy, and that could be quite draining. So the solitude helps to recharge you so that when it's time to rekindle the romance with your lover, when the universe is in agreement that you two are ready for each other again, it will be a blissful romantic life full of romantic night, full of love. Beautiful, blissful love. And especially if it takes place on a rainy night as well. Rainy night, candlelit nights, wine drinking are some of the most precious nights that man made culture has ever created. Beautiful, blissful moments. And I feel kind of sad that far too people actually really get to enjoy the value and the importance of those nights. Far too people are too caught up with work and chasing a buck and get being miserable and upset about the life around them and all this poverty, being in the hood, all these things, whatever it is, to distract you from actually really enjoying that. And then, of course, the stupid ignorance about the stereotype. Man, you black, bruh. What you talking about raindrops and listen to Chopin and candlelit wine drinking, bruh? You black, nigga. Shut up. You sound ignorant. And you know you have people who talk like that, right? So because I'm black, I'm not supposed to enjoy nice things in life. No, I don't. I don't. I shall have none of it. Dispense, cease and desist with the stereotypes. Stereotypes are the reason why many people don't enjoy the finer, simpler things in life, simpler pleasures in life, because they feel it's not meant for them because, man, that's some white man shit, bruh. You black nigga. And who's telling you that? Not the white man. He's not telling you that. He wants to sell his candles so he can make a profit. He wants to sell his Pinot Noir so he can make a profit. He's not telling you that. Come buy more Pinot Noir. The whole case this time. You know who's telling you that? Hmm? You know who's telling you that? People who have more easy access to you, people within your community. People who kind of look like you. Jealous people. They feel it's not for them, therefore it shouldn't be for you either. And it's sad that they will never experience it and they want to talk you out of experiencing it. I'm not some scapegoat of the community to fulfill some stereotype about us. I'm here to experience what I feel like experiencing, what I want to experience. And I will not let anyone get in the way of that. So if you're going to be a menace and you're going to actually have an opinion about what I ought to be doing and expect me to prove myself to you somehow, as I said before, if you violate my boundaries, there will be consequences. But there will be boundaries, and you will understand that there's consequences for violating my boundaries. You know that what you're doing is wrong. You know it upsets me. You're still doing it. Guess what? Consequences. I don't argue with people. I just get even. I already told you I'm very vindictive. Take care of the people who love you, but everybody else outside of them, it all depends on them. We could go left or right, and it all depends on them how they treat you. So if they want to be a villain of my story, they're gonna get treated that way. I feel like I've already wasted longer than 30 years of my life on foolishness and stupid people. No more. You're gonna be a hindrance to the rest of my life? You're out of here. I don't got time. You see how quickly 35 crept up on me? Another 35 will creep up just as quickly, and before you know it, I'm 70. I don't have time for that shit. Getting older here. Life is too short. I don't even know if I'll be around 10 years from now. Look at all these young people dying. Young people younger than me, people in their 20s. I already told you, 25-year-olds should not be thinking about death or dying. And yet, young people are dying. I don't have time. You're going to be a villain of my story, I will treat you like one. I don't argue with adults. Children, little 2-year-old babies, 3-year-old babies, I don't expect them to do any better. So, as impatient as I am, I will find the patience from within to repeat over and over to them because they're kids, they don't know any better, man. But still, an adult, I don't have time for that shit. I expect you to already know. If your parents didn't teach you, if school didn't teach you, if your friends and your peers didn't teach you, a counselor or a therapist was supposed to teach you, or your pastor, or any other kind of mentor, or YouTube. We have YouTube, we have podcasts. How do you mean you don't know? If you don't know, it's not your problem. If you don't know, that's your problem because I will tell you once and once only. And then I won't tell you again. And if you show me that you know what you're doing and don't care, I won't even tell you once. You're not going to gaslight me and play dumb like you don't know. I'm not going to tell you not even once. I expect you to know better. Don't waste my time. Oh, yeah, that's another thing too. People wasting your time. You want to schedule, you want to first of all ensure that you have periods of rest and relaxation and then schedule it too. The people wasting your time. Cut them out of your life. Life is too short. You have too many things to do, places to go, people to meet. You don't have time for them. You're giving them, in many instances, more than one chance. They're not changing. They're not respecting you. If you cut them out of your life, I promise you that half your burdens will be gone by default. Just by the very default of cutting them out of your life. Half your burdens would have already been gone. Just, just that easily. Very easy, simple process. Half your burdens will already be gone. So, cut toxic people out of your life. Do you realize for the past 3 or 4 episodes, even from the end of last season, the solution to all of your problems is to cut out toxic people? I have mentioned it as it relates to eating, the importance of eating properly, despite not being a vegan or vegetarian. I've mentioned it as it relates to the importance of getting a good night's sleep. In this episode, I've mentioned it as it relates to getting older and changing your mindset about aging and getting older and longevity and gerontology. The solution since the end of last season, the last 3 episodes of last season, and the first 3 episodes of the season have all mentioned the importance of getting rid of toxic individuals as a very major step towards healing and getting better. Getting rid of toxic individuals. That's a big one. They take up so much of your time and energy. If you cut them out of your life, half your problems are gone by default. So number one, schedule R&R. Number one, set boundaries. Number two, schedule R&R. Number three, well, no, actually, it's the other way around. Listen to me in this order, in this precise order. You ready? Here goes nothing. Here we go. Number one, cut out toxic individuals. That comes first. Get rid of the problem first. So toxic individuals are the problem, get rid of them. Now they're gone, bam. Number two now. Assert boundaries with the people who have remained after you removed the irredeemably toxic from among you. And number three, schedule some R&R. Do what I do. I do laundry once a week, even though I have about 3 weeks change of clothes. But I still don't like to have stale laundry lying around for too long. So I do laundry once a week. But if you don't, if the laundry doesn't bother you and you can keep it lying around for longer periods of time, then you might want to do laundry. You might want to get 3 weeks change of clothes and actually do laundry every 3 weeks. So you don't have to do it every week. This is not laundry week. Great, let's keep going. Oh, not this week? No, great. Let's keep going. One more week. So you have eliminated the weekly grocery one, and the weekly laundry one. So all you have to do now is cook, eat, clean the house, and take out the trash, and that's it. And that can be done in literally a few hours. You can do that in a few hours. And you have the rest of the day to yourself and the following day as well. But there has to be work-life balance. There has to be, even if you don't have a regular job, there has to be other things that occupy your time to keep you busy and keep you engaged, to build up sleep pressure. So you can get a good night's sleep. You can actually feel tired when it's bedtime and actually take a bath and go to bed. If you don't have a job, there are other things you can do. Other things you can do. To occupy your mind and your body too. Keep physically active. Keep eating good and drinking good. Find other things to engage your mind. Having a podcast is not easy. It's great mental exercise. And I have to juggle this with my regular job. So when I retire, for my regular job, guess what? I'm still going to have the podcast regardless. So I'll always keep mentally engaged. It's not easy. Recording and editing. It's work. Maybe not as much work, but it's still work. So that's good. Some people work their whole lives, retire, and drop down because they can't believe they gave their whole life to a blasted bunch of ingrates to this ungrateful job. They can't believe that. So if you have something else to do with your life outside of that job, then when that job comes to an end, whether by retirement or by firing or by whatever it is, resignation, whatever it is, you will have something else that you don't feel like you wasted your whole life serving a blasted bunch of ingrates. You had something else. That's good. That's what we should all aim for. Make sure you have something else. So these jobs are temporary. You go there to do what you have to do so you can survive long enough to do what you want to do. And while you're in there, you save the money that's being paid to you, save to put down on your startup or your capital or whatever it is. Your venture capital, your startup capital. Save your startup capital so that when you no longer have that job, the money is no longer a problem. You know you're good. Make sure that the day you don't have that job, the money is not a problem. So that you might have a million other problems in your personal life when that happens, but the money will not be one of them. The money will be awesome. And you'll have enough to last you for a while. So if you have a job now, set yourself up, save your capital, write down what you want to do, what you want to invest in, and save your capital. Try and make it work. And please, whatever you do, don't rush into anything. Do your research and make sure that what you're getting into is legitimate. Okay, we'll take a break right here, and when we come back, we'll be going into the final segment of my program, and I hope you join me then. Keep it locked and Falcon up front. Welcome back to Frank and Upfront. This week's topic, the importance of sleep. Now, my final thoughts for this show is as it relates to the implications of not getting enough sleep. So we spoke about the moodiness, the crankiness, the distraction, the distracted driving, the distracted operation of machinery, especially if you are driving for your job or you're operating a train, if you're a motorman operating a train, or if you are in a factory, a warehouse, forklift, whatever it is. If you have to navigate any vessel or any mechanical instrument, you need to sleep. Overwork is not the best idea. We have decades of researching proving it's actually not the best idea. It's not good for the employee. It's not good for the company. And yet they still insist on overworking their staffers when what they should be doing is to hire reserves to fill a gap in the event that one should drop out. That one should fall off or fall out entirely. Either or. So they know they shouldn't be overworking you and they still do it. So they will never learn. That's just the nature of what they are. Which is why it's one of many, many reasons why these jobs are all very toxic. And why you should plan your exit strategy on day one. Literally on day one. But despite your competence being compromised with distraction of tiredness, and despite an overall general cranky mood and feeling of grogginess, what are the health implications? Oh, and by the way, constant grogginess will ruin your relationships. You will push away the ones you love and you'll ruin your relationships. If you keep losing your temper on the ones you love, they're going to abandon you. So there's the social implications of isolation caused by constant crankiness. What about the health implications? Let's talk about it. So typical things, diabetes. Did you know that sleep depravity and insomnia can cause diabetes? Matter of fact, did you know that extreme exhaustion can cause insomnia? Extreme exhaustion can cause anxiety that can lead to insomnia. And you try to sleep and you're not sleeping, you're feeling anxious, and the next thing you know, you see the crack of dawn peeking through your curtains. You don't even know if you slept or not. That level of anxiety, that's something truly evil to experience. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So it causes anxiety, causes insomnia, causes it can cause constipation, but missing a night may in some cases actually cause a bowel movement, to be honest, which is good. But that bowel movement is supposed to be a fail safe to provide energy so you keep going throughout the day, throughout the following day, after a failed night of trying to get some sleep. Food and water will also keep your energy up. Food will give you energy and strength. So that's one way to substitute for the lack of food by eating. So people might find that they eat excessively in the morning after a failed night of trying to get some sleep. And that excessive eating is not even good for you either. It's going to give you extra calories and carbs. That's going to cause weight gain. And then that coupled with the stress levels will cause a cortisone buildup that will allow you to develop abdominal obesity, the deadliest form of obesity, obesity of the abdomen, obesity that will cause diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Excessive continuous exhaustion and sleep deprivation will cause diabetes. It will certainly cause hypertension. It will cause migraines and other kinds of nerves diseases like diarrhea, running belly. And it will cause one of the many deficiency diseases. For those who are vegetarians, they are protein deficient and they might develop. One moment, please. Yes, people who practice veganism without getting adequate protein will develop not only anemia, because the blood from the animal, from the beef, the cow, that blood prevents anemia. When you buy the protein come from the blood of the animal, that causes a, that actually prevents anemia. So there are some people who don't eat medium rare meat, but under the medium rare meat never hurt nobody. As long as it's cooked, never hurt nobody, right? And people think that medium rare meat is not cooked. It is cooked. It's definitely cooked. But it's not cooked all the way through. It's not well done, but it's cooked. So as long as it's cooked, I don't care. I've eaten rare meat. Even a few days ago, I had some rare meat. Rare tenderloin. I did. It was scrumptious. I loved it. So a little medium rare never hurt nobody. It's actually good for you because you're getting the protein from the blood of the cow that provided the beef for you. And that blood is actually adding protein to your body that is preventing you from becoming anemic. But in addition to that, if you're not eating, if you're not getting adequate protein, you risk becoming anemic. And in addition to anemia, you also risk developing kwashiorkor. Kwashiorkor. I hope I didn't butcher the name of that illness, but it's It is spelled Kwashiorkor, kwashiorkor, also known as edematous malnutrition. So, the same way you can develop beriberi and kwashiorkor, some of the deficiency syndromes or diseases, is the same way you can develop another such disease for sleep depravity. So, sleep deficiency. Here's a list of ailments: heart disease, true; kidney disease, I'm going to say nerves disease. So, migraines and any interference with the nerves in your bowel that will cause diarrhea or running belly. So, heart disease, kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, obesity. I did say obesity and depression. And I said obesity because I was saying that eating extra to gain back the energy that you're losing from sleep depravity, coupled with the stress buildup, the cortisone buildup, the stress hormone that causes abdominal obesity in particular, it leads to obesity. And the depression of being groggy and cranky, it causes crankiness. So, yes, one would get depressed or one's mood would change and cause, as a result of the irritation that comes from being groggy and sleep deprived. How is it? Let me ask you a question. How is it that anybody could have ever thought that sleep depravity is a good idea? Overworking and underresting is a good idea. How could anybody ever have thought that? We have 10 minutes left on the show, and we spend the next 10 minutes talking about how is it that anybody could have ever thought this was a good idea, and why would anybody in their right mind follow those people who believes that this is a good idea? This could never be a good idea. Why are we following idiots who think that sleep depravity and overworking people is a good idea? Because they want to stroke their ego and act like, oh, I don't need sleep. I can sleep later. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Your little sissies need sleep. I don't need no sleep. I don't need to eat either. I could eat later. Oh, really? Yeah, you feel fine now. Oh, I feel fine. Yeah, you feel fine. You feel fine now, but you're not always going to feel fine. One day it's going to catch up with you. The sleep depravity, the stress, the bad eating schedules, not eating on time will catch up with you. And it's going to make your blood sugar go haywire, your stress levels go haywire. And from that, you will develop many, many complications until you suffer a stroke. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar will all go haywire, kidney disease, till eventually, oh yes, you'll develop obesity, you'll age prematurely. It also causes premature aging as well. You'll develop obesity and then you may suffer a stroke. Now, if you skip one night and then you catch up the following couple of nights, that's not so bad. But every night, no, something is wrong with that. Some nights you just need to take the day off and just rest. Take the rest of the evening off and just go home and rest early. Or leave work early and go home and just rest early and chill. Some days you just have to. You just do. There's nothing wrong with that. No shame in that. And you should ask for that more often. Don't overwork and don't over relax either. Too much of anything isn't good for you. Even excessive water is bad for you. There's a lady who died from water poisoning about 16 years ago in California because she entered a radio competition to try to win a PlayStation for her kids, and she ended up being water poisoned by drinking excessive amounts of water and passing out and dying. So, water, the healthiest thing on earth, is bad for you in excess. Excess food is bad for you. Excess water is bad for you. Excess sleep is bad for you too. Oh, you better believe that. You better believe that excessive sleeping is bad for you too. So, the long and short of it is that anything in excess is bad for you, but everything in moderation is good for you. Even the so called bad things, the fried food. You could have fried chicken and pizza and fries in moderation and you'll be fine. You could drink a soda in moderation, you'll be fine. It is the excessive sugars and the excessive carbs that's bad for you, the excessive sugars and carbs and all those things, donuts. But you could enjoy one or two every now and again. You'll be fine, especially if you actually like eating it. Once in a blue, you'll be fine. Don't even worry about that. But excessive vegetarianism is bad, just as excessive sugar consumption is bad. Just as excessive meat consumption is bad. So, everything in moderation. Excessive exercise is bad. Excessive resting and relaxation is bad. And excessive work is bad. So, if you can find the balance between the two extremes and you could rest, work hard, play harder, and then rest moderately, but adequately at the same time. 8 9 hours of sleep at night. You will be fine. And by the way, in closing, I want to describe the your circadian rhythm and your sleep cycle within each night. So, in your sleep cycle, you have 5 different stages. You have, okay, hold on. I'm gonna Google this just about now. I'm gonna put this on pause real quick. Okay, stage 1, light sleep, can be easily awakened. Stage 2, eye movement and brain waves slowing down. Stage 3, delta waves start to appear. Stage 4, deep sleep, difficult to wake up. And stage 5 is the REM stage. Breathing become more rapid and irregular. All right, so all 5 of those stages take place within 90 minutes. One sleep cycle is 90 minutes. And one sleep cycle lasts for 90 minutes. And if you sleep 7.5 hours or 9 hours, that would be, let me see, 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6 hours, 4 cycles. 7.5 hours is 5 cycles, and 9 hours is 6 cycles. So you should get anywhere between 5 and 6 cycles a night. And you should make sure that your alarm doesn't go off. And nowadays with these new phones, we have these apps that you could actually set your sleeper time. So you go to sleep at that time, you dim the screen and turn off the ringtone. You go to sleep at that time, and you sleep for either 7.5 or 9 hours. And if your alarm goes off between cycles, you will not wake up groggy. You will only wake up groggy if your alarm goes off during a cycle, but not between cycles. So right there is your secret for a good night's sleep. So I think 7.5 is ideal. If you want to wake up at 7:30, you're gonna go to bed at midnight. Or if you want to wake up at 7 a.m., you go to bed at 11:30, and that is your 7.5 hours right there. Okay. So, and you get adequate, restful, restorative sleep during the reset period between midnight and 6. And you should be fine. You get 6 cycles and 9 hours if you're extra tired, but only 5 cycles and 7.5 hours if you're moderately tired. So measure your biorhythm and your frequency on this plane of existence based on different days of the week and your history and your experiences, all right? And that is the key to getting better sleep and eating good food and going out in the world functioning as a competent, responsible adult. That brings us to the end of Frank and Upfront Live for today and indeed for this week. Next week's topic will be why cramming for an exam is harmful for your health, and I hope you'll join me then. I am Mr. Franklin. This has been Frank and Upfront.